the meeting tonight. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. First of all, I have to tell you, VEPA is an incredible program. I'm sure just listening to the kids here and seeing their stage presence, you can see that. One thing that we're trying to do tonight is promote the arts in our public schools. We have some information up at the table up there. The VEPA program is pretty interesting because these kids, they have a theater there at McClatchy High School, and they just did a performance called the Pajama Game. And when you go and see their show and buy their tickets, that money actually goes right back into the program, which means the kids buy equipment, stage equipment, but they also get to take field trips and do a lot of things that they otherwise may not be able to do, because all the VEPA kids, they're all different, they all come from different families, and so this is an opportunity for them to all come together and to enjoy the experience of art and theater. So anyway, thank you very much, VEPA kids. You did a fabulous job. So first of all, I just want to give you a quick little story about the LPCA. Just tell you a little bit about us, actually. We're a nonprofit. We're a volunteer-run organization. We're not an HOA. It's completely voluntary if you want to join us. Nobody's going to come and knock on your door or complain about your lawn, so just letting you know that. We do not have any authority over the park, but since its inception, the LPC has advocated for it. So that's something to think about. Board and committee volunteers make sure that we have a seat at the table with the city on issues that impact our neighborhood, such as land use issues, public safety issues, those sort of things. We hold these community meetings and we have informational forums. We collaborate with other neighborhood associations and find common interests and find ways that we can work together and raise our voice to the city and to the county. There's a lot more that we'd like to do, but we're as active as those who join us, so our projects are based on what we can manage and what fits our mission statement. When it comes to events, COVID hit everybody pretty hard, and it hit us hard too. So that's the reason why we have not had the Taste of Land Park for several years. And right now, and people are asking us about the Taste of Land Park, and I just have to say I don't know right now when it's going to come back, because funding is very low and there is an initial amount you have to put out to actually set up this event. And also you need people who are dedicated to putting the event together and making all the arrangements, and we just don't have that right now on our board. So if anybody is interested in the event or events in particular, you are welcome to come and talk to me or anybody on the LPCA and let us know if you're interested in bringing something back like Taste of Land Park. Right now we've tried to focus on easier things to manage, like this meeting, informational forums. We're also partnering with Rick Jennings this summer, so we're going to have a national night out. That's on August 3rd. And we also have a movie night in the park, and I think that's August 13th. The movie night will be here in the amphitheater. So partnering with Rick Jennings, our D7 City Council representative, has been a really great thing, because it's sort of filling in the gaps right now. This year's goals are around park issues like maintenance, fixing the irrigation system. Another's public safety, addressing speeding in the park and bad behavior. And we also plan to advocate for new upgrades like our outdated and unsafe bathrooms. So we have a bathroom here and one in the Panhandle, and they're both really old and in bad shape. And so what we're doing is we're working with the Rick Jennings team, and hopefully we will be able to talk about plans for some new bathrooms coming in maybe next year or later on in this year. We're holding another community meeting here in the park on June 6th. If you like this, let us know about it. If you like the VEPA kids, we can probably bring them back. Right now our meetings are based on themes, so tonight we're talking about parks. And June 6th we're going to talk about programs that are really effective, local programs that help the needy. So we have St. John's Program for Change. They're going to come and talk, and they'll have lots of materials. So if there's a particular organization or group that you know does a fabulous job for people in need in Sacramento, feel free to come and talk to me, and we'll see if we can get materials for them or they can come and speak. Finally, we plan to launch a zoo survey and hopefully provide some membership perks. So I'd like to introduce our LPCA board member, Ignacio Barragan, and he will tell you what's going on with the zoo, because I'm sure people have a lot of questions. We keep hearing it's leaving, but we don't know when, we don't know how, so Ignacio will give you an update.
Good afternoon.
Hi there.
My name is Ignacio Barragan. I am one of the board members of the LPCA. I'm happy to see some new faces here in the crowd and hoping to see even more faces come to the next meeting. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update. So I'm new, maybe 2 years into living in Land Park. And when was the last time some of you guys went and took a look at the zoo over there? How many, raise your hand if you've been to the zoo here in the community in Land Park. Okay, that's the vast majority of folks. Me too, and I think I got a little bit of good news. It sounds like from some initial conversations we've been having with some of the parks and city representatives, it's not likely to go anywhere in the next year or two, right? But it does sound like eventually there's a really good chance it's going to be leaving the Land Park community area. And I'm sad about that because me personally, I quite like the park. But I also recognize that things change all the time. And one of the important things about having an opportunity to work with community members and be a part of a community association like LPCA is that we can make sure that we have a seat at the table to talk with city representatives and make sure that our collective voice is represented if and when that zoo leaves this community, and when we're talking about what's next for Land Park and next for that site. So I encourage you, as Chris Rogers mentioned, to get involved with Land Park, LPCA through landpark.org, to be a part of that conversation. Stay tuned for the survey that we've been talking about, and hopefully together we can really be a part of the conversation to make sure that we continue to protect this great community hub and regional park that we have in William Land Park. So Chris also talked about, well, there's great opportunity in making sure that we continue to grow in numbers. So I'd love to see all of you, if you are not already a member of the LPCA and you live in Land Park, and our boundary lines run from Broadway all the way to Fruit Ridge, along the freeway on one side over here, and down, Freeport Boulevard, that you really take a look, and for $25 a year you can become a member. You know that you're supporting not only stewardship of this park, but also that you're supporting those voices and a seat at the table, making sure that we're advocating for a great neighborhood that we have here. Lastly, I want to just introduce some other speakers here, but if you have any questions before I go, I'll be sticking around. Please come talk to me about some of the great ways that you guys can get involved, become a board member like myself, or to find some way to make your voice and issues that matter to you be really brought to the forefront of our conversations. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce at this point Captain Dan Monk and Sergeant Brian Kinney from the SAC PD South Command.
All right, good evening, everybody. Sorry Captain Monk could not be here this evening, so he sends his best wishes and hopes to be at the next meeting. So I'm going to try to step out of the sun a little. So I was asked to talk about a couple things, and after me in a short bit, you're going to hear from several representatives from the City Park Rangers unit. But I just wanted to touch on our relationship because I know there's a lot of questions in which how the actual Land Park area is policed and patrolled. And I can tell you between us and the park rangers, you have 24-hour-a-day coverage. And during most parts of the day and into the evening, you're very likely to see both police officers and park rangers responding to calls for service. So you may not have us here at every moment during the day, but as issues arise, when you call into 911 or any of the non-emergency numbers, one or both of us will respond. Danielle Luther, one of the supervisors from Park Rangers, who you'll hear from in a little bit, her and I communicate almost on a daily, if not weekly basis in regards to issues going on within Land Park. Certainly when we know of larger pre-planned events, we try to have a coordinated response between both of our agencies so that everybody in the park and the surrounding community sees the smallest impact to your day-to-day activities, because really that's our goal for everyone, not only the residents of Land Park, but everyone from the region, to be able to come and enjoy this lovely park, because again, this is really the cornerstone park of the entire Sacramento region. So once Danielle and her crew come up, if there's any other questions from the police department, specifically how we police and patrol the park, I'd be happy to answer any of those. And then just kind of going into general land park stuff, like what is going on in your community. And for the most part, we're almost halfway through the year and looking at land park and all the surrounding areas. Crime-wise, things are looking really good. That's not to say there are no issues. A majority of the issues that I see facing your community are more quality of life type issues. Typical complaints that I field on a daily basis really revolve around speeding on all of the streets, mainly the thoroughfares, whether it's Freeport, Land Park, Riverside, and the homeless issues, which everyone I know is very familiar with. When we start looking at violent crime, Land Park has not seen the increases that the other communities in Sacramento have seen. So in that regard, you're very fortunate. But just I wanted to share a couple updates on those quality of life issues that we have seen. Package thefts continue to be an issue, not only in Land Park, but citywide. We had a package theft just over the weekend, and that actually had a good ending today when the alert homeowner who reported it to us on Sunday spotted the person over on Broadway, and we were able to get some patrol officers over there very quickly and able to detain the suspect. He was actually wearing some of the stolen merchandise, which only helped the case. So just a couple reminder, I know every one of you in here probably uses Amazon or receives packages through UPS, the mail, or FedEx. If at all possible, try to pick those up as quickly as possible, because what we see is people will follow the delivery trucks around and then they'll wait and see if anybody picks up the items. And I know it's hard, everybody's busy, but if you can be alert for when those packages are there and get them off the porch, you certainly reduce your risk of having those taken. If you're not aware, a lot of the yellow lockers you see at Bel Air or Safeway or Amazon lockers, where it's an alternate shipping location for your package where you can have it securely delivered there, and then you can pick it up at your convenience and not having to worry about your package being stolen. In regards to the speeding issues that I receive emails on a daily basis, how we respond to those complaints is our patrol officers are alerted to specific areas and times if we have them. A lot of times it's associated with commute hours, so morning and late afternoon when people are either going to work, coming home from work, to and from school. So we'll direct our officers to do directed enforcement, and then we also have a shared traffic unit that will do saturation patrols in those areas. But unfortunately, we'd love to have a much more robust traffic unit, but right now we don't have it. So when we receive complaints, it may take a couple days, if not a week, before you see an actual response from our traffic unit to address those complaints. Currently we have a speed sign. I believe it's closer down towards Markham and Freeport, and that's another deterrent that we put out. Basically it just flashes as you see somebody going over the speed limit. So again, those are really our big issues that we are seeing in Land Park. I know they're frustrating issues, and they're issues that unfortunately don't resolve themselves overnight. So we're trying new things. One of the things we also do to combat the package theft is to deploy bait packages, and essentially we dress up Amazon boxes or other delivery type boxes with GPS tags, and so when they're taken, our dispatch is alerted and we can follow the package around basically via a map until we locate it. And those prove very successful. I'm not sure if we had anybody here during the holiday season that volunteered for us to put those on your porch, so those are great resources. We see those things pop up in your communities. With that, I feel a lot of times we get a little better interaction from the crowd if we have some questions, because really that's what you guys are probably here for, to get some stuff answered. Is there any questions out there?
Are you hiring?
Oh my gosh, are we hiring? Absolutely. So if you have anyone that's interested in joining law enforcement, you don't have to be 21. We actually start as young as high school with several of the law enforcement academies, whether it's at McClatchy High School, Kennedy High School, Grant High School, where basically you start taking classes on law enforcement, learning about all the different aspects of the job. Then starting in college, we partner with Sac State.
Are you being successful with your recruiting? Is probably a better question.
So the follow-up to that is, are we being successful? To a degree, yes. But we still, just like any other agency throughout the country, and it's not just here in Sacramento, recruiting is an issue. Being an officer is probably not as popular as it once was, just due to all the demands, but it's still a very rewarding job. And so our recruiting ebbs and flows. I know in our academy that starts next month or at the beginning of July, we have just about 50 recruits, which is actually a really big class. So that means roughly in a year from July is when we'll start seeing a lot of those officers trickle out and really affect our staffing efforts. So yes and no, we are successful, but we can always do better at retaining great officers. And that's where you guys come in. If you know anybody or if you have kids, relatives, it's a great job, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. We're starting to do ride-alongs if anybody's interested in seeing what an actual officer does on a day-to-day basis. That's a really good way to know what your officers do.
I have a question about the overnight camping, car camping or bus camping in the park. There's a school bus that's in the park over here by Fairy Tale Town on a regular basis.
Okay, so that is a common question. So how do we deal with homeless issues and camping in vehicles? And so that's a tricky issue, and right now the Department of Community Response has been directed at being the lead agency in dealing with homeless issues. So if they're not posing a criminal issue and just merely camping for the night, there's really no enforcement action that can be taken. And my best recommendation is if you see them there night after night, you can notify the Department of Community Response, or what we call a DCR, via 311.
The thing that we've noticed is that the bus has a flue out a window. They're burning or cooking inside the bus, and the smoke is then directed outside. I mean, it appears to be extremely dangerous.
Right, and certainly a lot of those situations are dangerous, and I imagine too from a neighbor perspective it can be a little disconcerting not knowing what's going on in there. But if there's something that you think is a danger or something that needs to be dealt with immediately, you can certainly call law enforcement at either 911, and this is a good tip as well. A lot of people have the misconception if you call 311, that's our non-emergency number, and that is not. If you need non-emergency police services, that's 808-5471, and that will get a response. So I'm not sure if that fully answered your question, but if it's an immediate risk, then police can come out. But if it's more of just a general homeless type issue, Department of Community Response is
But
leading.
I thought there was no overnight camping in the park.
So because of COVID and a lot of the laws that have changed in regards to homelessness, that is not something we can enforce.
COVID's over. When are we going to get that homeless deal
Never.
taken care of?
That is not a decision I make, and that's the city managers and the city leaders.
What was the question?
When is COVID, with it kind of going by the wayside, when are we going to lift some of the restrictions on dealing with these issues?
Does anybody else have any more questions?
Are we going to talk about park-specific stuff?
Yeah, parks is next.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll wait.
Well, if not, I'll be around after the meeting as well if anybody has any one-on-one questions. And I know if you have stuff that comes up later, Chris and I talk regularly. You can funnel stuff through her, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brian McKinney. We really appreciate it, Sergeant McKinney. Okay, so next, so I just want to let you know that, we've had some issues in the park in the past couple of years, especially around the Panhandle. there's been some bad behavior going on, and people know about it. And sometimes we tend to look at groups and put them all together, and that's not always the case. And so this year the strategy is really to pull out the bad players, the knuckleheads, the people that are causing problems, and separate them from the people who actually are just here to enjoy the park like everybody else and be part of this community, and also may have a long history with Lamb Park. And so what happened is, a couple of months ago, I got a call from a guy who said, hey, you know, we understand that this sort of stuff is going on, and I want to know how we can help. And so we had a long discussion, and it was really a great discussion, and I got to know him and his friends, and they came to the Lamb Park Volunteer Corps now twice, and they have just livened up the Volunteer Corps on cleanup day. The first they could show with, like, I don't know, 15 people, and now they had 30 last time. Who knows? Next time they may have 50. I have no idea. So anyway, I wanted to introduce R.C. Thomas from the Majestics Car Club and his friends from the other car clubs. Fear None is also here, and I'm sure there's a couple I'm missing. So there you go, R.C.
Good evening, everyone. First off, thank the Lord everybody made it out. My brother's here. We wanted to come out and talk to you guys tonight. As Chris was saying, there are some issues that's been going on for quite some time. My car club, the Majestics Car Club, we host a New Year's Day picnic here every year. So those who are against it, we are the responsible party. But our goal was to give you guys a face to put towards the complaints. So past few years have been pretty successful. It is a unity picnic. It is lowrider based, not so much of the fast cars and muscle cars, although there are some. But this last year seemed to be maybe the biggest, but probably the most difficult to deal with. And the reason being is, the year before, after we cleaned up the park, and we try to make sure we clean the park up all the time, especially New Year's Day, because it's unfair that we come from different areas. We utilize the park that day to just enjoy with our family and friends, and if we leave it messy, then it's unfair for the locals who frequent the park. Chris is aware that we've been attacked by a raccoon trying to clean up the park. That does happen. So the year prior, we were cleaning up the park. We did the best we could. We made sure the bags were left out. But after the lowriders left, there was a situation. However, we didn't know about the situation until this past January 1st. So Ranger Jordan, he spoke, he notified me, we spoke, he notified me, and let me know that after we left, about 7:30, there were some big wheel muscle cars that came in, and some activities were happening, and they were doing donuts in the Panhandle area, and a car got hit, or someone was hurt. And EMTs couldn't get in,